morning, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Healthcare Advocate Live, where every Sunday morning between 8:30ish and 9, we talk about all things healthcare advocacy in Israel and sometimes beyond. And last week, I gave a great few-minute discussion about this topic, about talking to your siblings about death and dying. And then it turns out that the volume wasn't on. So that kind of went into the garbage. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do it again. But then I don't know what happened last week. It was a bit of a disaster. So I didn't record it. But here we are again. And the reason that I am recording now this series for the next few weeks about caregivers is because my good friend and colleague Tamar and I are doing another run of our caregivers series starting in July. And I wanted to delve into some topics that we're going to be discussing. It's a free online series, 4-part workshop series. For any of you who are caregivers, some of you have joined us before, and that's fantastic. Please send out recommended to others. And please send me a message if you want to hear more information about that online series that we're starting in July. But today I'm going to go back to what I was talking about is when you have parents and you have siblings, you also have conversations, or you need to have conversations. So what am I speaking about? I'm talking about as your parents age, it is imperative for the siblings, or if you're only a single child, perhaps you have a cousin or an aunt and uncle or somebody else who's involved in the caring of your parents. But you need to have conversations about going forward. How can you best help them as they age? And I say this because I speak to many people, older and younger, who all tell me, I am going to be independent and I am going to be fine as I age. And then one day I'm going to go to sleep and that will be that. And I wish for all of us that very easy journey into aging. Unfortunately, statistically, we usually are not that lucky, meaning the truth of the matter is their entire lives, we need other people. We need other people's help all of the time. But when we are younger, we are much better at being in denial about that fact. And as we age, we can be less in denial about that because it's more in our face. Everyone needs help, and almost everyone will need help as they age. So the question is, what do we do? How do we put things in place that will make that happen? So the first and foremost is that we always need to know what are the desires of our parents regarding being taken care of, regarding death, regarding what will and need, what do they want to have happen if they need some kind of heroic intervention? Do they want that? Do they not want that, etc.? So it was interesting because not so long ago, a couple weeks ago, I sat with a family who's in this very discussion, and their parents are healthy, more or less, but they're aging, and they see that their parents are getting to a point in a few years where they will need more assistance. So we were talking about some of these issues, and I brought up the issue of, do you know what your parents' desires are in terms of, God forbid, something happens to them and they are in a coma, or before, do they want to be resuscitated? Do they not want to be resuscitated? Would they want a feeding tube or not? And one of the daughters, obviously, she's an adult, she has a family of her own. She said, wow, it would be very difficult. Like, I don't think I could have that conversation. Now, as you say in Hebrew, lo na'im, like it's not pleasant for me. And I completely understand. Please don't let me, I'm not minimizing anything, why these conversations are very, very difficult. And we have this feeling that we shouldn't bring up the issue of death or dying to somebody who's older, or even to ourselves, because it's almost as if it were offensive. So I will tell you something very clearly, is that these discussions will almost always need to be had. The question is, where are you having it? Are you having it in the comfort of your living room? Are you having it over tea and coffee? Are you having it in the hospital corridor when it is 0 hour and you need to make a decision now and the doctor is looking at you and it's 12:30 at night? Because that is often the scenario of what happens. So you can try to avoid the conversation, or not have it, but it will come back to look you in the face. And that is what I'm trying to say here, is that difficult conversations will need to be had. If you take over and create the place and time to have them, then they will be easier. And more importantly is that everybody will be on the same page. And that is extremely important for these kind of discussions, is to be on the same page with your siblings, who are the other caregivers, as well as best to be with your parents. So first of all is that you need to, at some point, figure out how to have the difficult conversations. It could be one-on-one. It could be that you designate one of you, if you have several siblings, to be the one who discusses with their parents if they feel more comfortable. I highly, highly recommend, if there are multiple siblings, to divide up what we call the tikim in our Israeli government. And we seem to be having a government as of today, Sunday, so yay to government. And everybody's dividing up their folders or their departments. And I recommend that you divide up the labor among the siblings. I'm in charge of social welfare. I'm in charge of medical. I'm in charge of living, etc. Whatever it is, but that you divide it up, because it really is too much for one person. And sometimes your parents have sort of created a complicated web of both finances and decision-making, some known, some not known. So it takes a little bit of unraveling. I highly suggest that you do that unraveling now and not wait to a crisis. So this is obviously, a full day's lecture or discussion. I'm not going to, obviously I can't go into everything, but my point of this brief Facebook is to remind you that you need to start having the conversations now with your siblings and with your parents about what their desires and needs would be, and how you can effectively discuss those issues with them. So we'll be continuing these kind of topics about what primary caregivers face going forward for the next few weeks. Please join me every Sunday morning around 8:30 and 9, Facebook Live, Healthcare Advocate, and ask me your questions. And also a reminder that in July in the evenings, Tamara and I are going to be redoing our very successful How to Help the Caregiver series. So I hope that you will join us if you haven't already. And have a fantastic week.